We want to thank everyone for your presence here this afternoon, this evening. And so, just like with everything else, we want to go ahead and just acknowledge our Creator, amen. Lord, we thank you for another opportunity to give you glory, to give you honor, and to give you praise. We thank you for your presence and your protection throughout our day today. As the one who continues to advocate for the least and the lost and those who without a voice, we thank you for that. And as we come together collectively as a community trying to address the issues that plague our cities, Lord, we ask right now that you be in the midst of this conversation. Allow the spirit of love, community, and unity to fall fresh in this place today. And we thank you in advance for what you will do. In the name of love, we say amen. And at this time, we want to invite Mr. Marcello Bradshaw to come and to lead us in the program. Amen.
How everyone doing today? Can y'all hear me? Not good? Better? My name is Marcello Bradshaw, the Vice President of Voices for the Voiceless. As we get started today, I'd like to introduce Keith A. James II.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. As Marcello said, I am the president of Voices for the Voiceless. We call this press conference today because we definitely wanted to talk to you guys about the violence that's going on in our city. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Mr. Representative Bob Williams, and he's going to start us off on our program. Thank you.
Where to begin? There's so much that can be said about the violence that's plaguing our city. As a member of Wilmington City Council, I have the privilege of having served 20 years as a police officer in the city of Wilmington, retiring as a lieutenant. After which I went and became a registered nurse, and I went to work at Christiana Trauma Center. So I've seen Wilmington's violence from a couple of very different perspectives. From having to tell a mother or a loved one that they just lost their son, their daughter, their father, their brother, their sister, to doing everything within medical certainty to try and regain that person and bring them back after a sudden traumatic illness, such as a gunshot, a stabbing, things of that nature. So I've seen the violence. I've seen how it affects people. I've seen how people go through denial. No, not my loved one, not the person that I care the most about. And then they change it over a short time afterwards. Then they get angry. They get angry. Why my loved one? Why that person? Why did they do that to me? Why did they take that person I love that much? What we want to do here tonight is to tap into all of your emotions. We want you to start asking why. Why my neighbor? Why that kid I went to school with? Why my best friend? Why is nobody doing anything about it? Why are we remaining quiet? You know, they say that snitches get stitches. We've heard that saying. But I'm going to plant a new seed that violence will bring body bags. By keeping quiet and keeping the information within, it's a silent approval that you're okay with what's going on in your street, that it doesn't matter to you. You may not have all the pieces to the puzzle. You may not know everything that occurred to that loved one, that neighbor, that friend, that father, brother, sister, mother. But you may have a piece. And that piece is a very, very important piece. And without that piece, the police may not pursue the person who's responsible for this event. So that little bit of piece of information, it may be enough to take them over the top, to do what they know they have to do. I've asked this question of people. If a death row inmate escaped from Gander Hill or Smyrna, would you be fearful? Would you be up in arms? Would you be afraid for your life? We've got many death row inmates running around us right now. They just haven't been convicted yet. because we don't have the information to put them behind bars. And that's why we need you. That's why we need your participation. We need a whole lot more to go on in this city. We need more treatment facilities. You know, let's go to some of the causes, the addicts, the addictions, the people that are seeking to self-medicate. Because basically that's all they're doing. Nobody wakes up and says, tomorrow I want to be a heroin addict. Nobody says, I choose to live that lifestyle. What they're doing is they're masking the internal turmoil that they've got going on in their life. So I'm here to assist any way that I can to help us get more treatment facilities, to help us get some of these criminals off the streets that are plaguing our neighborhood. You know, we're not living in jail cells, but we're living in our own cell when we keep our doors shut and we don't get involved. So what we're here to do tonight is let's open up this Pandora's box and let's let things out. Let's let people begin to have this open discussion, this open dialogue. Because that's the only way we're going to get any resolution, is if we all come together and start to work together. Because it affects all of us. It used to be back in the day you had that uncle that nobody talked about. They didn't invite him to the barbecue because he was either an alcoholic or he had a drug problem. So we just kind of shun him. Everybody has somebody like that in their family now. Everyone. It could be your mother. It could be your father. That's why it's so important. It's time for us to start getting them the assistance that they need. The state of Delaware does an okay job on helping with addiction, but it can do a lot better. It can do a lot better. So that's why I applaud these young men and women for doing what they're doing. Out of the mouth of babes, think about it. You got some young men and some young women that aren't afraid. They're not tainted. They're not jaded. They're not pigeonholed up where they don't want to get involved. We're tapping into the youth today. We're going to get them out here, and we're going to ride their coattails to get some of these things done. So I appreciate the opportunity to come out here and speak. And I appreciate you coming out. It's not the best environment, but you're here with us. So it just shows me what your commitment is. So thank you very much for coming out.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry Dorsey Walker. I'm the City Councilwoman in the 6th District. I love my constituents. They're the best. Nevertheless, whenever I think about what we're doing on today, and Councilman Williams just kind of hit on it, there's a scripture that says, and a child will lead them. This movement was set forth by the youth in our community. So one, I'd like to stop and just give them a hand for a job well done. So often we hear about the young people not doing anything in our community, and you see the young people standing to my left and sitting to my left, they're doing something positive. They want to make a difference in our society. I can sit here and give you long, drawn-out speeches, but it's too hot for that. So what I'm going to do is what I've been assigned to do, and that is introduce the next person. So what I'd like to do is have Chief Cummings come forward. Chief Cummings has been a partner. Wilmington Police Department has been a great partner in the 6th District.
Good evening, everyone. I'll kind of keep this brief. As I've stated all along, we are willing to work with anyone in the community who wants to see our city turn around for the better. We have an officer here tonight who came up with the slogan that is going to combat the no snitching rule. Silence breeds violence. If we continue to remain silent, we're not going to solve a lot of issues that are occurring in the city. The police department cannot do all this by themselves. And I see a lot of good people in this room who want to help. There's a lot of kids of young age who want to help. We have more people who live in this city who want to do good than do bad. There are more good people in this city than there are bad people. but we all need to speak up. We cannot continue to remain silent. If we remain silent, we will continue in this string of violence. So one of the things I'm going to do again is just plead that you all help out, and we need to get this message out through the city. We have the resources. We have the support of the Attorney General's office. We have the support of our city council. We have the support of our federal agencies that are all willing to work with us. If we get everybody to the table and we talk about what's going on in the community, the police officer gets out, and we have more presence in the community, we can stop a lot of the stuff from going on. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're going to stop all of the violence, because if I did say that, I'd be lying to you. And one thing I'll never do is lie to you. But we can definitely take down the violence that's going on and cause less violence in the city. But we all have to step up. So again, I'll keep this brief. It is hot in here, but I feel good. So again, anyone who is willing to work to see the city turn around, we are definitely willing to work with. So again, thank you.
At this time, what I'd like to do is introduce a dear friend of mine. His name is Carvin Haggins. When I first met Carvin, it was in the green room, and he has such great humility. I was there as a filmmaker. Many of you know I'm a filmmaker by trade, and Carvin is a music producer. And so when Carvin walked away from the green room, this gentleman comes up to me and he says, "Sherry, do you know to whom you were just speaking?" I said, "Yeah, his name is Carvin." He said, "Well, he's a Grammy award-winning music producer. He just got back from the Grammys, and he just won 2 Grammys." I said, "Oh, okay." So as God would have it, Carvin did the music for a film that I did for the Susan G. Coleman Foundation. And Carvin said the Lord led him to do it for free. And I was so glad the Lord led him to do it for free because I couldn't afford him. My friend Carvin is the producer for Jill Scott, Music Soul Child, Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson, Ty Tribbett, Marvin Sapp. The list continues. So without further ado, I'll bring up my friend Carvin Haggins.
God be the glory. How y'all doing? Y'all feeling okay? Okay, I'm here, and I'm gonna keep it brief because we don't have to talk about the temperature much more. But I'm here for the sole purpose support. My mission, my idea, my heart is to support. Right now we have a campaign called Rage Against the Ratchet, which is support. So when we heard Voices for the Voiceless, we knew that we needed to get in and be a part of supporting. When we saw that silence breed violence, we knew that there was a need to get into support. So the mission is that, what I believe is that in order to have community, you have to be able to communicate in unity, which will give us a community. And as a community, we should work together to help each other, to uplift each other, to support each other, to defend each other in our community. I'm from Philadelphia. I'm not from here, but I'm in your community, and if I'm here, and if anything's going down, I'm down to support this community. The mission is we have to make a better America for the kids. As adults, as children, as mothers, as fathers, as leaders, our mission is to make a better America for our kids. So what we do with Rage Against the Ratchet was a protest against radio for playing the vile, pornographic, murderistic, demoralizing lyrics over the radio into the ears of our youth. So we're working to clean that up. So in turn, I'll be very brief. I just ask all of you leaders, all of you parents to step up. All of the leaders, step up. All of the kids, you know the music you're listening to and you know what's good and what's bad. Stop listening to it, stop supporting it. We need to be the voice for the voiceless. So if there's a bully in your town, you need to be the one that's speaking up about the bully and telling on the bully. Be it in your high school, be it standing on your corner, be it in houses of homes of mothers and fathers. We got to help each other in the violence, in the murdering, in the killing in our community. All right? Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Carvin Haggins. What I'd like to do at this point is introduce Mr. Orrin White. Mr. Orrin White is the youth coordinator for the United Way, and he does a phenomenal job in the community. So without further ado, Mr. White, please come forward.
I'm going to be brief as well. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to work with youth in the city of Wilmington. I have the ability to work with Keith James every single day. And the reason that I'm here, just like many of you, is to support and be a part of the change, not just talk about the change. And Keith James and many other youth, they come together to work with youth from the city of Wilmington on a project that we like to call life mapping, because we think that it's very important for individuals to know where they've been in order to know where they're going. For so many youth, they think that life is over at 16, 17, and 18 years old because their community doesn't give them any hope. They don't see any hope around them. Therefore, hope is something that they really can't aspire to. But what we're able to see through this particular program is we're able to identify the adversity. That's what brings us all together. No matter what color we are, no matter what race we are, no matter where we come from, each of us has endured adversity. And that's what we try to say to the youth, is that someone just like you in another community is going through what you're going through. But they figured out how to overcome that adversity by identifying key assets that are in their life, such as the Wilmington Police Department, such as the councilwoman and the youth from the city of Wilmington. These are all assets in our community that are going to help our youth overcome the adversity and achieve the success that they desire for themselves. So it is a privilege and an honor to support Keith James and other youth just like him for the initiative that we're all gathered here for today. And United Way of Delaware is a proud supporter of the program. Thank you.
You've heard from Rage Against the Ratchet. Now we're going to hear from Silence Breeds Violence. Detective Anthony Harris has a great program called Silence Breeds Violence, and he's been supported by the Wilmington Police Department. So Chief Cummings, we thank you for supporting him. Lieutenant Amy Roush, we thank you for your support, for always being here with us. And without further ado, we'll have Detective Anthony, and Master Sergeant, oh my goodness, Master Sergeant Walter Ferris, wave your hand. I would be remiss to not thank him. And we also have Corporal Ash with us. No, Sergeant Ash, sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Along with me on this project, I have Norwood, and he is also involved in the CDCP program for the city of Wilmington. And what I want to do first is, again, my name is Anthony Harris. I've been on the department for 24 years. And you can imagine in 24 years, I've seen a lot of shootings, a lot of crime, a lot of serious crime. And one of the things that I found that was consistent with the crime was snitches get stitches. I was a detective for 15 years, and as I would investigate the homicides, and there were a few occasions when I was in the ambulance riding along with the person who had just been shot. And still today, it affects me as a police officer. You guys don't think that we're affected by the crime that happened in the city of Wilmington. It happens every single day, and we take that home. We don't take it home to our families, but we have it in our heads psychologically. And I still remember every piece of every investigation that I've been involved in for the last 17 years. There have been times when I talk to a family, and the family know who the shooter was, and they wouldn't talk. Again, because of the snitches get stitches. Currently today, I'm an officer at Parkway Academy. I'm a school resource officer. And one day, earlier this year, as I was walking through the hallways, one of the kids were talking to the principal about an incident that I heard had occurred in the school. One kid was walking down the hallway and uttered, "Snitches get stitches." And at that point, the kid immediately shut down. From that day on, I began to think, what can we do to counter this phrase, snitches get stitches, that has affected us not only nationwide, but worldwide? And as I began to think about it, as I began to talk about it, as I began to write down the attributes of snitches get stitches, the phrase silence breeds violence came about. As you look within the logo, in the head are all the crimes that can ever occur as a result of silence. Now keep this in mind. When the original definition of silence or snitches get stitches came out, it was if I commit a crime and you commit a crime and you got caught by the police and you told on me, that was the definition of snitches get stitches. But if you haven't realized that it has gone beyond two people to a neighborhood, to a community, to an entire country. There have been occasions as a police officer that I had an opportunity to talk to the little old lady who's in the neighborhood who used to come out and play, who used to talk to all the neighbors, that no longer opens up her door at all. And I was able to get in there, of course, without using a uniform. And when I sat down and talked to her, and she started to say, listen, I don't pay attention to what goes on outside my doors, because if the police lock on my door and I start talking to the police, this snitches get stitches thing kind of take over our neighborhoods. And I began to wonder how many people around the United States are trapped in their homes. How many kids throughout the United States are trapped within their school environment because of this phrase, snitches get stitches. And I said, you know what, we need to come up with something to affect snitches get stitches psychologically, where we can turn it around to say, you know what, no longer will I be silent. I own this neighborhood. I have invested in my own neighborhood. The police are not the answer. The police are a tool to us to rid our crime of the element of crime, of criminal activity. Let me talk to you about how the criminal activity develops as a result of snitches get stitches. Clean neighborhood, no crime at all. One person start walking through your neighborhood. Guess what he's doing? He's surveying your neighborhood. He's checking out to see how many neighbors are out there, how many people are willing to walk up to me to say you don't belong here, how many people are willing to call the police. And it's happened over and over again. 2 days later, there's 2 people. A week later, there's 4 or 5 people. A month later, it's a thoroughfare for crime. Think about this, folks. Think about in your neighborhood, how many times you saw a stranger and no one approached the stranger? Think about how many times the stranger involved the 2 and 3 and 4 or 5 strangers and no one talked to him. Next thing you know, you have a homicide in your neighborhood. That's how the crime evolves. The reason I came up with this program, I'm going to cover the mission statement, then I'm not going to go too detailed in it. If you want more information, I do have documentation available. The mission, vision, and goal. Our mission is a world in which people have the right to live in a crime-free environment with the right to protect and the right to freely interact lawfully with the law enforcement community without threat or harm. Our mission is to remove the psychological threat or harm and to protect the life and property of individual groups and communities throughout the world. Our goal is to educate the communities in which we live about the effects of how silence or fear creates the environment for the criminal element balance to stop. We will strive to remove the fear and empower individuals to take ownership of their personal safety as well as safety of the communities in which they dwell. The definition, silence breeds violence. Silence, the refusal or failure to speak out. How many times have we noticed? I did domestic violence for quite a few years for the department. And one of the questions I always ask is, if you walk down the street and you see a guy beating on a female, what would you do? How many guys would just turn around and walk away? 100% of the group of people that I talked to just walked away and said, it's not my business. Think about how many times, think about this, think about how many times that person became an assault or a homicide victim. Let me tell you this, quite a few times. Quite a few times. And you know what? It would only take some person to say, you know what? No, can you stop, please? Can you not argue? Can you not this? Or just intervene, or just walk over and look at it. Do you know how many times the perpetrator looked around because they had witnesses that they chose to walk away from that situation? I've done it quite a few times as a police officer and as a non-uniform officer. And let me tell you something, that situation was resolved just by me walking up and paying attention to what's going on. So imagine this. Imagine someone walking down the street arguing with a woman, or vice versa, a man and a woman, and you just simply open up your door. Guess how many times that has resolved that issue? Quite a few times. Folks, it works. You own your neighborhood. This program is to empower you to understand if you allow the element to creep in, it start off as something simple as someone hanging in the neighborhood to a homicide. Breeds is the element of reproduction, and violence is a great destructive force of energy. And again, folks, we're talking about homicides.
So, thank you, Anthony. So one of the things we looked at in addressing this issue is not only the impact that violence has immediately on individuals, but also violence has an impact on the family, children, and the entire community. As Anthony, as Detective Harris had stated, I'm the director of the Child Development Community Policing Program for the City of Wilmington. Last year, we served over almost 200 children who have been affected, not directly by violence, but as a result of witnessing violence in their neighborhood, hearing about violence in their community, or seeing violence directly on their way to school or at school. Had someone not spoken up for these children who are voiceless, none of these children would have had the opportunity for healing, would have had the opportunity for happiness, and would have had a diminished opportunity for quality of life. So when we look at speaking up in the community, speaking up for our communities, we need to realize that we're speaking up not only for ourselves and for our neighbors, but for our present community, but for the communities that are to come, for our children's communities, and our children and their children's communities. So as we think about giving voice to the silence that has existed in the past, we want to think about how that's going to have long-term and leave a legacy of help and healing for our communities. So one of the things when we think about the emotional health, I have to find the sweet spot in this thing. When we think about the emotional health of our community, one of the things we think about is, we always hear the term mental health, and we get afraid of the term mental health. But I want to see a show of hands. Who in here wants physical health? Want physical health? Who wants physical illness? Nobody? Okay. So when we think about mental health, who wants mental health? And who wants mental illness? Nobody? Sometimes illness occurs in life anyway. But one of the things that's important is that violence is one of the leading causes of trauma, post-traumatic stress, depression, which can lead to suicide, anxiety, which is the most common mental health disorder amongst all human beings. Violence often is a quick pathway to all of these types of illness. When we think about maintaining and supporting and sustaining the health of our communities, then we need to consider how the simple act of speaking out about, hey, there's someone on my block that I'm not sure that needs to be there. Hey, I saw this horrible, horrendous act that no one is speaking out about, but I'm going to speak out about it because I want to make sure that we have a healthy community, that we have a vibrant community. So as we move and think about how we're going to utilize our voices and no longer be silent, we want to think about how we are going to maintain our physical, our social, our spiritual, and our mental health in our communities.
Thank you, Norwood. And to close, I challenge you in the community. This is my goal for this program. I love the community in which I live. The city of Wilmington is to start with our community, to talk at all the community meetings, to talk about silence breeds violence, to break it down in its most simple form, to help you all understand that you guys own your own neighborhoods. The police, the city of Wilmington do not own your neighborhoods. You own your neighborhoods. You invest in your neighborhood. When you get to know people that live in your neighborhood, you can start communicating. You know the people in which that thrives and live in your neighborhood. When you start talking about strangers in the neighborhood, abnormal activity in your neighborhood, talk about the things you can do to resolve that. Because remember, crime evolves in its most simplest form and evolve into something major, such as homicide, drug sales, prostitution, all the main crimes that are out there that are ridden our nation and our country today. If I have a website, it's called silencebreedsviolence.com. It's in its infancy stage. If you guys choose to log on, leave your information. If you choose to be involved in any way, or if you choose to just keep up with the progress of this project, please leave your name and information and I can contact you. Also remember that we have a lot of anonymous information or numbers that you can contact the police in reference to crime occurring in your neighborhood. That information will be available. And just use those resources to your advantage to rid your neighborhoods of crime. Thank you.
Next, we'll be having a member from the community coming up and speak. His name is Mr. Russell. I just want everybody, get loose. I know it's hot right now. We're trying to get through it. I do appreciate everybody coming out, and I see everybody's, we got your attention right now, and that's what we wanted. So without any further ado, Mr. Russell.
Thank you. Thank you. Yo, my name is Mr. Russell, you know what I'm saying? I'm a little nervous right now, you know what I'm saying? I don't normally get up like this. But I got something to say, man. I got something to say to everybody. Hey, yo, I ain't do too good in this life, you know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all still got time. A lot of y'all kids still got time to do the right thing, you know what I'm saying? You got all these people right here trying to help you. They trying to help. That's one thing I ain't do. I ain't reach out for that help. And look at me. Hey, yo, every day, man, I just be watching people, man. Everywhere I go, I be watching, you know what I'm saying? I'm part of this community, too. Everybody in here today is shaking hands, they giving hugs, everything. Nobody hugging me. I need love, too. Hey, yo, man, look. Excuse me, you know what I'm saying? I know that, this dude stopped it by where I be resting at, you know what I mean? We started dialoguing, you know what I mean? I'm telling him what I be seeing every day, you know what I'm saying? And it's like people that's like in it's like a race, you know what I mean? Everybody racing around, just running around trying to get what they can out of life, you know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, my man. Hey, yo, can you come here for a minute? Right here, man. Hey, yo, stand on this line right here, y'all. Hey, yo, you too, man. Can you help me, man? I want to explain something to y'all. Right here, my man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, this is like the human race, you know what I mean? Turn that way right there, man. Hey, yo, if they racing, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, let's say this dude right here, you know what I mean, he got money, you know what I mean, his family is rich, you know what I mean, he got, you know what I mean, gear and all that, you know what I'm saying? This the start line right here. He ain't starting from here. Move up to that line, man. You got it good, you got parents, you know what I mean, you got a good education, you got everything, you know what I'm saying? He got everything working for him. This dude right here, he a regular dude, you know what I'm saying? He got parents, he got, you know what I mean, he going to school, he doing all right, you know what I mean? Everybody working and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, I'm all the way back here somewhere. The mic can't even go far enough, you know what I'm saying? That's the start line up there, you know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, this ain't fair. This ain't fair to me, yo. Thank you, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Thank you. I ain't start from where they started at. You know what I'm saying? I'm way back there somewhere. Hey, yo, that's not fair, man. When you got a mom that's a crackhead, you know what I'm saying? You got the dad that's an alcoholic. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, the only time I'm eating is when I'm going to school. You know what I'm saying? All night long, I'm hungry. talking about pay attention. Hey, yo, ask yourself why, man. Like my man was saying, why it's like this. You want to help, you got to help me too. You got to help people like me. I'm coming out today to try to help you. I failed in life, yo. I failed. I'm trying to tell you how not to do that. Hey, yo, I write a little bit of poetry, you know what I'm saying? But one thing, before I get up out of here, I want to tell y'all, man, y'all gotta reach out. That's the mistake I didn't do, man. I try to handle it on my own. You know what I mean? I've been raising myself since I was 2. Wasn't nobody taking care of me. So it got to the point where, you know what I'm saying? I had too much pride to even ask somebody to help me. Don't do that, man. Hey, yo, it's a lot of people right here that's trying to help the community. Y'all gotta help too, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, let me spit this to you real quick. Like I said, I write a little poetry. Hey, yo, this from the heart right here. You feel me? Hey, yo, this whole world order is out of order. But that ain't nothing new, cousin. You see, the only thing still within reach is a snooze button and the remote, the TV guide, and Dad's couch. Yo, when doing this next commercial, yo, I'm gonna take that trash out for real. Yo, cause moms be tripping more than a little bit. Yo, when I'm gonna get that support to you, girl, I told you, yeah, soon as my numbers hit. Yo, when I ain't get a chance to vote, I made moves instead. See, presidents do more for me when they did. Now realize that the type of poem that you is now absorbing, yo, it gets deeper than the elephant's body organs. Yo, go buy America, or by any means necessary. You choose your motto. Your mom's, excuse me, you got a quarter I can borrow? It's hard out here, but I'm gonna keep my head up once I get my face up out this toilet. Yo, lately kids be like, yo, Mr. Russell, you's an alcoholic. Yeah, and I was gonna get help, but the phone at the bar stay out of order. I'm only drinking 40s now because they cut my water. It ain't no leeway. My girl ain't giving me play because the psychic told her not to since she's having a bad weed day. So we stay staring at each other all day. Yeah, that's when I realized it ain't even got to be no real lies. Yo, my self-esteem is getting lower. My blood pressure's rising. Yo, that's it, yo. I'm gonna eat right and start exercising. Yeah, tomorrow. Because in the meantime, yo, my man, yo, you got the quarter I can borrow? Word life, it's more to Mr. Russell than meets the untrained ear. So once your brain clear from the champagne and brand name gear, then we can move on. And stop procrastinating with the la-la, drama, na-na type fascination. Because people is making fools out themselves, all iced up in that Lexus, knowing that they project crib is roach infested. And when your brain ain't reached its limitation, your life is getting played out like the Cosby Show. It's indicating manipulation is the active ingredient in your formula. You keep doing what you're doing, man. Everybody gonna give up on you, but I'll be waiting for you. Peace. your mouth.
One more time for Mr. Russell. I feel sorry for the person that's going next. That's all I gotta say. I feel sorry for it. You going next? Okay. All right, before I bring up Keith A. James II, I want to say it makes me proud to be a proud mentor because Keith A. James II, I gotta say his full name because he told me to, was my first mentee. And to see all the success he brought to Voices to the Voiceless, thank you, man. Thank you, thank you. Now, welcome to the podium, Keith A. James.
How's everybody doing? You enjoying it? So I had a speech that I was going to write, but I guess I didn't get to it. So I'm just standing here. How many people heard about a shooting in the city of Wilmington in the last week? By a show of hands. Cameras, can you please get the hands that are up? How many people saw a shooting, heard of a shooting in the city of Wilmington in the last week? How many people? How many people do you know that are doing this right here? Just standing up to try to have a voice. Standing up to try to have a voice. That's all that we want. I'll just give you all my background. My name is Keith James, as he said. I'm 19 years old. I go to Del Tech. I'm interning with United Way of Delaware. At 16 years old, I dropped out of high school. At 16 years old, I was on heroin. At 16 years old, I was on heroin. At 18 years old, I joined Keys to Success. At 19 years old, I started Voices for the Voiceless. And I know what it's like to not have a voice. I know what it's like to not have a voice. Asking for change. And I'm not talking about the change I'm trying to bring right now. I'm talking about for change. We had Mr. Russell come up first because I wanted him to really set the tone of what it's like. How many people have, see somebody out there that's asking for change and we just walk by them? I don't want you to raise your hand. I don't want you to raise your hand because we walk by them for whatever reason. We always have this thought that we know what they're doing with that money, but we just walk by and we don't care to ask, are you okay? We don't care to lend that hand anymore. Everybody wants to be Jay-Z, everybody wants to be P. Diddy, nobody wants to work like Hov, nobody wants to work like Puff. Everybody wants to be famous, nobody wants to put in work. They're saying that they want a movement like the civil rights movement. Look at this. The youth right here that have been helping me. First of all, can we please give it up for the staff of Voices for the Voiceless? I have Corey Bishop right here, who's my Director of Operations. I have proud supporters of Voices for the Voiceless and partners. Jonathan Graham, who's the president of Chaotic Theory, which is a music program that we will be implementing into our program. I have Dante Roberts, who's also a proud supporter and a member of Chaotic Theory, who will be supporting. My Vice President, Marcello Bradshaw, thank you. Let's clap it up for Marcello for me. The interns that's sitting down there, can stand up for me. These guys have been my backbone for the last 3 weeks. These guys have been my backbone. That is my team right there. This is my team. One more time for my team, please. Without them, none of this is possible. Without you guys, none of this is possible. None of it. What we're doing is we're trying to promote nonviolence. We're trying to prevent drug abuse. And we're going to provide advocacy for our community's youth. And that's why we call this press conference. That's why we call this. That's why we set this stage up for everybody to clear their hearts and clear their minds, so now you can know what's coming forward. So before you go, we do have a sign-in sheet that we will be bringing around. We just ask for your name and contact information so you can stay in contact with Voices for the Voiceless. And if you couldn't make it out to the press conference, our email is voices.forvoiceless@gmail.com. Anybody who wants to reach out for us, who wants somebody to advocate, whether it's on religion, whether it's on violence, whether it's on mental illness awareness, whatever the case may be, we will be that advocate for that. We will be the voice. No longer will there be a person in our community who will be voiceless. Now they have that door. And it wouldn't be possible without you, Ms. Sherry Dorsey. It wouldn't be possible without you, Mr. Williams. Everybody that's been here supporting me, I honestly thank you. I honestly thank you. So moving forward, what is the point? Why did I create Voices for the Voiceless? Like I said, I remember what it's like to be voiceless. I remember what it's like to be hungry. I remember what it's like to not think I was gonna live. I thought I wasn't gonna live to see my 19th birthday. I put my mom through hell. Called my moms all type of names. Never gave up on me. They never gave up on me. We need to stop the violence. It come to a point where my flesh does not hurt. Follow what I'm saying. My flesh does not hurt when I hear about shootings. I don't flinch when I hear a shot. I can tell you what gun it was when I hear the gun go off. I can tell you that it's a .44 caliber. I can tell you it's a revolver. I can tell you it's a .22. I can tell you how far it is. It's only 6 blocks up the street. That's not okay. That is not okay. And it comes to the point where it doesn't hurt my flesh anymore, it's just hurting my spirit. It's just hurting my spirit. And anybody who knows what it's like to have your spirit hurting, you know that's the worst pain in the world. So I pledge on this day that Voices for the Voiceless will be an advocate not only for Wilmington, not only for Delaware, but for anybody who feels that they do not have a voice. You can reach out to us and we will get the resources that we need and we will be heard. We will be heard. I thank you all for coming out. I thank you all. Thank you.